Hello, everybody. Welcome back, mate. I told you I've been out of the action for the last few days and I can't even turn the mute button on. Hope everybody's all good in the world, and I'm feeling a lot better now. To my right is Clivus. You know who he is. You know what I mean? We're here to talk about West Ham as we always do. Before I get started, please do smash a like on the video. Goes a long way. It really helps this channel out. 144 likes yesterday for the boys, mate. And so there's a little competition going. See how many likes we can get. And yeah, if you want to become a member, the link is in the chat. Help us out, support the channel. You know what to do out there, people. Right, Clive, let's talk West Ham. Aaron
Yes.
Cresswell is staying for now. What you saying?
To be honest, it's probably the cheaper option. I know he's on about 60k a week and whatnot, but just keep him for the year rather than splurging out 10, 15. I think it also gives people a chance to see what Emerson can achieve. His first season was a bit hit and miss at times. So it'll be interesting if Emerson's going to be the number one choice this season.
Yeah.
It gives him that chance to solidify, and it gives us the chance to go, do you know what, next summer, do we want someone better than Emerson, or do we want someone underneath Emerson as a number two? So I think, to be honest, it's not a bad thing if we keep Cresses for one more season.
I don't know how to feel on this one. I really don't, because on the one hand, I think he has to go because, like, really, he's done his time at West Ham. But on the other hand, with the lack of signings, which we're going to get onto with Moyes, is he worth keeping? Is he cheaper to keep than he is to sell? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and to me, he is probably cheaper to keep. Do you know what I mean? Even though I don't like it, like, what else can you do? Do you know what I mean? What else is there to do in regards of him? So I understand it. I see people saying about him being club captain. What do you make of that?
I don't think he'll be number one choice. I know, like, obviously we did it with Noble for that last season where he hardly played and whatnot, but I think we need someone that's going to be captain for a few seasons at least. And yes, he's part of the leadership team. The vice captains were him, Fabianski, and Okbona last season. So I can understand people saying, "Oh, it might be Cresswell," but I don't think any of that leadership team will be given the captaincy. If they were, we would already know who the captain is from next season, and we still don't.
That's bad, don't it, mate? Let's be honest.
That is bad.
That's really bad. Like, if you don't even know who your captain's going to be, like, that's a major worry in itself, isn't it? Let's be honest. For me, obviously, like, I don't understand it with West Ham at the minute. I really don't. It took us a week to try and get a deal over the line. It still hasn't been done yet. And I think they're trying to keep players in because they don't want to spend out. That's basically what it feels like to me. Like, they're trying to keep Cresswell here, like, because our board and our manager don't want to sort of spend the money or doing stupid bids. But we will get onto that right now. Like, and let's talk about this. My opinions on David Moyes' transfer tactics. Clive, you see the video of him talking today. Explain to me what he's trying to do, because I do not understand it.
I mean, I can look at it from 2 points. It could be a case of, it has been quite well documented that there is an issue between him and Steinden. And, he's not going to add fuel to the fire as such and be like, oh, I hate him or anything, is he? He's going to try and avoid speculative rumours in that sense. So, of course, he's just going to make it a little bit more honey and rosy and just say, look, we've put in multiple bids, but a lot of bids have been, rejected. So, it makes it seem that, we have tried to be busy. And I guess in a weird way, you could argue that actually it makes the board look a bit incompetent because Moyes is essentially going, don't ask me, ask the board because they're the ones that put the bids in.
Yeah, but he was blaming Australia, mate. He was saying, "Oh, we're bidding out in Australia."
He's never been a fan, has he? Like, do you remember? He's always been against having international friendly and having preseason abroad because he believes it interferes with the squad and with transfers essentially. And he's been saying that for a numerous number of years, really. And that's why it was a surprise when it was announced that we'd be doing Australia. Because we haven't done a preseason away like that in for maybe 2014, 16, somewhere around there, where we did like the Premier League, was it Asia Trophy or
I
something?
remember that. Yeah.
I think that was the last time we did anything significant abroad. Anyways, I might be wrong. We might have done other bits and pieces, but I think that's the only last time that we've done a significant amount of
Yeah, I
time
know.
abroad.
I know, though, Clive. Listen, I understand it. Don't get me wrong, yeah. But to lose Declan Rice, right, the kingpin of your team, yeah, and not sign no one, that to me is a major fucking concern, big time. Like this, and this feels like to me, and I want people in the chat to sort of put their comments in because I'm going to try and read out as many as I can tonight before the hour. I feel they're trying to keep all the players here, all the old guard here, because they ain't going to sign no one. Or they are going to sign people, but they're going to sign the bare minimum. And I mean the absolute bare minimum at the minute. Like Aaron Cresswell, like which we've just discussed, deal's got looks like that's faded away, yeah, with Wolves. If Antonio stays here, then I don't see them being many signings, like maybe two at best. Do you know what I mean? Two or three, yeah, which is not good enough, really. It just really isn't. Do you know what I'm saying? I I'm starting to dislike Moyes again. I tried to give him benefit of the doubt from last season, all right, but he's in that sort of video. It made no sense what he was coming out with, none, right? You know you're going to Australia. He must have known he was going to Australia, yeah. So why wasn't anything in place for
All right,
people?
so for argument's sake here, surely we can argue that the whole board knew that Declan Rice was going this summer, and yet we
Oh,
still haven't signed anyone.
yeah, but do you know what though, Clive? I will say one thing on that. Yeah, and you are right. On the 8th of June, we all knew as fans that Declan Rice was going. Yeah, because when the order comes out on the 8th, day after the cup final, we all knew it, didn't we? Let's be honest. Yeah, but what I'm really struggling to sort of, and I really lost the plot earlier on Twitter. Like I was so angry with some of the like people being mentioned. Scott McTominay like coming in, and I'm thinking you've had a whole year, or let's not say a year. Let's be kind. Let's say 6 months. You've had a whole 6 months to find Declan Rice's replacement, and you're going for a man in Manchester who's fucking shit because he's crap. Let's be real.
But I don't think we'll ever get a Declan Rice replacement because obviously he's. I think to an extent he is one of a kind, but
Yeah.
uh, I know what you're saying. Like I'm not. I was saying this last night with Lucas on here, but I'm not a McTominay fan. I'm really not. But I don't think he's as dreadfully shit as everyone says. It's definitely a downgrade on Rice. Yes, 100%. But you could argue Paulinho. You could argue everyone is a downgrade on Rice ultimately, because the only ones that are going to be better than Rice are probably at Manchester City, to be quite honest.
Mm.
Um, I don't see any other team that potentially has a better defensive midfielder, and we probably had the joint best, if not second best, defensive midfielder in the top 5 leagues. Um, so we're never going to get a replacement. I think the closest we have is like what I've always said last season. I know Alfie disagreed with it, but
Yeah.
ultimately the whole purpose is we're supposed to have a world class player as such. And I think Paqueta is the closest thing we're having to a world class player without it being Declan Rice, and albeit a
Mm.
different position. And I don't necessarily think Paqueta is fully world class or anything, but that's as close as it's going to be because I don't think as a team we can afford these extravagant transfers, which is why we're being mentioned alongside what would be considered to be mediocre players.
See, the thing is, right? It, when I look at Scott McTominay, for instance, and I see people saying about Scott McTominay, and I see saying Curly on that West Ham are looking at him as sort of the prime target, or one of the prime targets. I'm looking at him thinking you've had a whole 6 months to find a player on this planet, and you're going for a geezer who Manchester United don't let good players go. Like that's one thing Man United don't ever do. They don't ever let decent players go. And for 40 million, that just makes me sick, mate. That makes me physically sick. When I hear someone say 40 million and you compare him to James Madison, right? And those are different positions, but it's the same fee, near enough. Fucking hell, mate. That's just madness, mate. Do you know what I'm saying? Moyes needs to go. He is not the man who's going to take us to the next step. What do you make of that, Clive?
You could argue he's what third top 3 managers of all time at West Ham United, arguably.
Yeah.
because ultimately only 3 managers have ever won us a major trophy. So
Mm.
ultimately, I guess in that sense, you got to say he is good, and he's up there. But I think this is the difficulty I said before the end of the season. Moyes has only got 12 months left in his contract. Are we going to back him? Are we not going to back him? In a weird way, you could perhaps argue
Mm.
for Moyes' case here and go, do you know what? The board aren't backing him because they're putting in bids that will never be accepted. So then,
Yeah.
is it just better off to just give Moyes the check now and just say, look, we'll pay you off for your next 12 months? Because in a weird way, I don't necessarily think this is fully his fault. I genuinely think the board, if the board had an
It's
intention
mixed.
of giving him
It's
another
mixed for me.
contract, yeah, but if the
Yeah,
board had the intention to give him another contract, you'd do that straight after winning your fifth ever major trophy as a
I
club.
agree.
And
Listen, I actually do agree with
yeah,
you on that.
and I think it's very very clear that it's not, and I think the board are trying to do this situation where they've gone, oh well, we tried, David, we put
Mm.
in offers, but it just didn't get accepted, and we weren't going to put higher because we don't think the value of money is right for that player, which in some cases would be accurate, and in other cases, well, maybe not, because would I have loved to have seen Harvey Barnes on a West Ham shirt? Yeah, 100%.
I hear, mate. I really do. I will get to some comments in the chat in a minute. I just want to say this. I understand what people are saying with Moyes, yeah? Like me and Alfie have many fucking rows about David Moyes. But on this one, yeah, where is the plan? That is like what I feel right now is there is no plan at all, right? I could go on Twitter in a minute and I could find links to about 25 different players, yeah, but nothing is concrete, yeah. This is what I said the other day about Paulinho, yeah. If you really wanted Paulinho and you really that was your man, that was your go-to man, that was the man to replace Declan Rice, you would have dropped in a serious bid for Fulham to make them think about it. You don't drop in a dead bid that just says, you know what, no, jump me straight away. Like, um, if we end up with Scott McTominay, I'm going to be fucking fuming. I'm not even going to
I'd,
lie.
I think I'd rather have McTominay for 35 million than I would Paulinho for 60 plus million, though.
No, but isn't Paulinho the better class of player? Like you're saying a better
Yeah, but
class of player, aren't you?
yeah, but Paulinho is 28. Scott McTominay is 26.
But the only thing with that with Scott McTominay that someone told me the other day is he doesn't complete a season. He's always either injured in a season or he gets a good few suspensions. And we're gonna if this geezer comes in for 40 million pounds, see that just when I say 40 million Scott McTominay, that just makes me feel physically angry.
Do you know?
It
Do you know what though?
does.
I don't mind the suspension part, because do you know
Yeah,
what? Sometimes I do think some of our players need a little bit more grit and fight in them. Sometimes we give too many teams too much respect.
yeah.
Um, so do you know what? I wouldn't be against that. But the injury thing, that I mean, that's just the West Ham MO, isn't it? To be honest, what do we love?
Mm.
We love an injured player.
And this is what the thing is, right? I know what people are saying, but he is 40 million. Not for me, mate. He really ain't. Yeah. But then I see this. But Man United are going to pay 30 million for Arabat, which is just a different class, different level of player altogether. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So Man United are going to actually earn money out of Scott McTominay by selling him with FFP, sell him to us. Yeah. Then they're going to go get another geezer who's 10 times better than McTominay and for 10 million cheaper. Does me.
yeah. Well, I mean, the problem with that is that obviously, if McTominay was not Scottish, perhaps he
100%.
would be slightly cheaper, i.e., probably about 30, to be honest. Which I wouldn't say 30 million for Scott McTominay is a bad thing. I mean, he's been at Man U for his whole career, hasn't he? And he
Yeah.
has played under numerous number of managers. So clearly, a lot of these managers do see something in him. But obviously, um, the one downside, I guess you could say, is that this last season was perhaps his least proactive season, because he was mostly on the bench under Ten Hag. But other seasons, he has been quite a versatile and utilized player under a lot of different management regimes there. So I don't know. I don't think we should fully disrespect him or disregard him as such. But I can see the issue because of the amount of money, and but it's the inflated transfer window, courtesy of the Saudis as well.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to ask you something, Clive. Yeah. sort of going a bit off topic, so I will take this banner off. Is where do you think West Ham are going to finish right now this season for you? If you was to sort of look at this and say, right, just say for argument's sake, Borges is in, yeah, and we sign, just say we sign James Ward-Prowse, yeah, and maybe one or two more. Where do you see West Ham this season?
Based off of those signings, I would say somewhere between 10 and 12 in the Premier League, to be honest. I don't like, we have to remember we had two very, very, very good seasons before last season's horrendous Premier League form that we had. But, you know, we've done quite well, perhaps slightly overachieved as well. I think last season we'd done the complete opposite and then underachieved. And I think some of these players could do a lot better this season. I think if we are not mixing around with different formations in the first half of the season like we did last season, then there'll be more consistency in the players in the team and the know-how of what we need. Some of these players are now fully embedded. Aguerd was injured the first half of last season. You've got it took multiple months for Paqueta to get used to the system and the league and everything like that. So I think there's a lot of plus sides, but I don't see us being any higher than 10th if we got there. But I think between 10th and 12th is probably the most realistic positioning for us.
I'm going to be honest, we ain't getting 10th. That is that. If we finish 14th with Declan Rice in our side, I would love to know from people in the chat why they think we're going to finish top half. Because you take your best player out, your midfield's going to be completely different, right? Is it going to be better? Probably not, but it's going to be a bit more. What's the word? Fuck knows. I haven't got the word for it really. If I'm being honest, I haven't.
But I think what Lucas has put in the chat is right. I think some teams are going to drop off. I mean, you've got to bear in mind last season Chelsea finished what 10th, 12th, somewhere around there. Liverpool struggled for a lot of the season. Was it? Yeah, Chelsea didn't get any European football. So I actually think, in a weird way, Chelsea could be a dark horse for the league title. Because the last time they didn't have any.
James Collins has got it bang on 1 to 20. Big up James Collins. You know what I mean?
Well, it'll definitely be one of those positions. But I think there's a lot of teams that are going to struggle. I think one of those is going to be like Crystal Palace, for instance, right? They've gone back to an older style with Hodgson, for instance, which is what they came away from. Yes, he improved their form late last season, but they also don't have what's he called? Wilfried Zaha. They don't have him. They're going to have to build a team around Eze. They've not really bought anyone. I think, like Lucas's point out, there's going to be a lot of drop-offs. I think we should comfortably, hopefully, finish above teams like Bournemouth and hopefully Burnley, Crystal Palace. I think Everton again. I think Fulham are going to have a huge drop-off this coming season. Luton, Forest, Sheffield, and Wolves. And if you, I should have really counted in my hands how many teams I just mentioned there, but I think that was about 7 or 8 there. So that's why I think minimum we should be looking at 12. I think teams like Brighton will struggle with fitting in Thursday, Sundays. Villa might also struggle with that. Liverpool should be used to it at this point. See, Lucas has mentioned it there. See Brighton and Villa. But I think Brighton will still do well, but they won't hit the European spots. And we also have to remember that Brentford will start the first couple of months without their goal scoring prowess of Ivan Toney. So I don't know. I don't think it's as bad. And I think we can't just say, oh, well, you know, all right, we could finish 6th with Rice or 7th with Rice. But then without Rice, we're going to get relegated. I don't think that's necessarily the case because, I mean,
I don't think we're going to get relegated. But
we had Rice. Yeah, but we had Rice last season, and look at the position we got.
Yeah, I know, but I think last season we fucking got away with murder. I'm not even going to lie. I was going to get to this comment from Ben. Yeah, people think that we will finish above 14th. I deluded. I agree with Ben on that. We are a worse team than last season, and even if we sign these players, I'm saying 16th. Now, I'm not saying 16th, even though that's quite reasonable, but I do agree with him. Unless we pump in all this dough and we make some star signings, not these mediocre Premier League proven bollocks that we seem to do all the time. Like, and this is where Moyes fucking irritates me, right? He really does, because he's going for Premier League proven to save his own fucking job, and he's not looking at the bigger picture. Do you know what I'm saying? Which is disgusting, I think, in my opinion. But you know, it's one of them ones, isn't it? Like, what else can we do as fans that, other than be sort of optimistic, Clive? What would you say?
Well, I mean, yeah, but I think we need to bear in mind that obviously, yes, we overperformed for 2 seasons, but because let's be honest, other than last season, 4 seasons ago, so
Yeah,
obviously we did what 14th last season, we did 7th the season before that, 6th the season before that, but the season before that we were in a relegation battle. So only 4 seasons ago, and that's I think we just need to remember that. Yeah, all right, we might have slightly overachieved to an extent, and now we're
mm,
trying to bring in slightly more capable players, a little bit more international experience, etc. And we're trying to do a little bit more. But let's not get carried away and think, oh, we can finish top half the table and qualify for Europe again. I think we have to set expectations where they are. Yeah, we're a big club, but
yeah.
I don't go in as Manchester City, for instance, go in and think we're going to win every week. I know we're going to lose games, and I know some
Yeah,
games
but
we should win, some games we shouldn't. And
but shouldn't we have a bit of a better? Shouldn't we think better of ourselves though? Like, because we've been in Europe for the last 3 years. Yeah, we are. I listen. I hate it when fans turn and say we ain't a big club. I hate that, because I look at them and I think, fucking, the fan base is phenomenal, and I've
yeah,
known that for.
but in terms of all that, we're huge. But if you
Yeah,
look at it in terms of finances, we're not a big club at all. In
nah,
terms of finances, like you, already a lot of the clubs are already so well financed that it's impossible to get a European place. I mean,
mm,
Arsenal severely well financed. You look at and now they've paid off a lot of that stadium and whatnot. They're
yeah,
able to spend money as we've seen, but you know. Arsenal guaranteed to probably, unless they had some sort of weird blip, they'll get European football. Chelsea, well, I mean, look at how much their ownership has splurged.
yeah,
You look at Liverpool; they've got a lot. Man City, Manchester United, Newcastle. I mean, that's six out of the European 7 positions that exist,
mm,
basically guaranteed to the big 6.
yeah.
And then Spurs, who I didn't even mention in that as a big 6, because they're not as well financed, and obviously their owner has just been arrested. So slightly
Fucking,
different situation.
oh, it's always a positive. It's always a positive, right?
Yeah.
Taylor, let's get this commented. Can you blame Moyes though? The club have put him in a situation by not renewing the contract or letting him go.
That's
I
what I was saying
disagree.
though.
I
That's what I was
disagree on
saying
that.
though. Like I think if you're an owner, you should either after the triumph we had,
Right.
surely you go, okay, we're gonna give you a new contract. And they haven't. And that's why I think some of these bids have been done deliberately to not make West Ham look stupid, but more to be like publicly Sullivan can come out and go, well, we tried. But Sullivan knows what he's doing, and he's gone, we've deliberately lowballed every single team because I'm not buying any of these players. I think he'd rather suffer for a year, get rid of Moyes,
See, the thing is, I
and
hear
find
that.
someone new.
Yeah, but I hear that, Clive. Don't get me wrong. I hear it. Yeah. So if that is the case, what the fuck is Steiden doing here? Like, why is he here?
Because
Like,
well, Steiden's not on a 1-year contract, is he? So I think, I genuinely truly believe this, but this is dicing with potentially getting relegated. If if what I'm thinking is accurate, in
right.
my head, the game plan is Moyes goes at the end of the season. They don't
Yeah.
have to pay a penny to get rid of him.
Yeah.
He goes, he's completed the season. It will long term wise be remembered for winning our 5th major trophy, but in a short term will probably be hated, especially if
Right.
we ended up getting relegated. But Sullivan's probably thinking, okay, Steiden, you've got 12 months, find everyone that you want to get. We'll spend the money the following season with whoever this new manager is going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if Steiden has already even provided some requests of what sort of managers we should be
I
going
actually
for.
agree with you on this.
And
I don't normally
like I
agree with you,
say,
Clive, but I do
yeah,
agree with you on this one, 100%.
and
What you're saying.
and and I genuinely think Sullivan is willing to dice with relegation here. I
No,
genuinely
because
think he. I
he
think
wants
he
to.
is.
He wants to save his own face. That's what it is. He wants to save face. Yeah. This is what I listen. I 100% agree with you on that. 100%, because he hasn't got the bottle to go and sack him. That's the
It's
problem.
the money.
Like,
It's the money.
it's
It's
the
all it
money.
is.
It's the money. It's the fact that he doesn't want to put the club into sort of what's the word? He doesn't really want to sort of come into jeopardy. He'd rather keep Moyes
Yeah,
here, yeah, right, because there's no one about. Do you
yeah.
know what I'm saying?
And
Don't get me
it
wrong.
wouldn't be a good look either. It wouldn't be a good look as an owner to other owners or to other league managers, because we all know the Premier League, they have an ownership meeting, I think once a week or once a month or something, and it's the same with the captains as well. And I think Sullivan also knows he doesn't want to look like a prick. You know,
Yeah,
what
I agree.
chairman's going to go, oh, I'm going to sack our manager that's just won our fifth major trophy in
Oh,
this
because
in this in this club's
yeah,
history.
it'll make him look like a right prick, though, wouldn't it? Let's be real,
Exactly.
right?
And
But I will say one thing on that is this is the best time to let the manager go. Like,
it is, but I think this is exactly why Sullivan's gone in with this game plan deliberately. He's gone, okay, we'll go for your options, Moyes, but we're just gonna go and say here's the one bid. If it gets rejected, you're gonna have to find someone else. And I think we're gonna go through this vicious cycle for another 4 or 5 weeks, whatever's left of the transfer window. And
but I'm going to say this to you, yeah. Obviously, I put up a tweet the other day, yeah, in regards to the first six fixtures, right? Bournemouth,
yes, yep,
Chelsea, who else is in there? Brighton, Luton, Manchester City, Liverpool, right?
yes,
They are fucking tough, right? People say that people expect us, West Ham United Football Club, to go to Luton and we're just going to turn up there and win, right?
mm-hmm.
When that is Luton's first home game of the season, yeah?
Yes.
Ironically, against us on a Friday night, yeah? I think the Bournemouth game, they've got a new manager, so they might have a new manager bounce, right? I am fucking shitting it big time. It is no joke, right?
I
First six games.
The Bournemouth game, I'm not too worried about. They already do have their new manager, I do believe, but
Yeah,
they've made a couple of signings. Don't get me wrong; some of them are going to be quite interesting, but they've they've also lost a fair few players this window as well. But the Bournemouth game, I'm not too worried about. I think first game we should be okay. Yes, it's away from home.
yeah,
As long as our performances are not as bad as they were away from home last season, we should be okay. We're at home, first home game in the season against Chelsea. I
right.
wouldn't be surprised if we ended up somehow picking up a point. Then away at Brighton, I can see that being a full-fold loss.
Yeah.
Luton away, it would be a very West Ham thing to do, to go and face Luton and go and lose. I mean, we did that against Forest. We lost to them early into last season. So it would be a very West Ham thing to do. And then we've got Man City at home. Well, yeah, okay. And then Liverpool away. Liverpool away, we always do give that a good fight. So again, I'm not looking at Liverpool and thinking, oh, this ain't good. And I think Liverpool, with their midfield changes, and the club needing to also make some signings themselves, at the
Yeah.
moment, Liverpool don't necessarily faze me. I think Liverpool is somewhere a lot of teams could get a lot of points from. And looking at the current Liverpool squad, unless they make changes in the next 4 weeks, isn't one that's going to be very consistent, I think.
See, the thing is, I slightly disagree on that. I think this West Ham should have players here. Yeah, that's the first thing I will say.
We should,
Right,
yeah, we should.
right.
And
I
the
know I'm
first six
stating,
fixtures don't
I,
look good.
I know I'm stating the obvious, right, by saying that. But when you've got them first six fixtures, surely you would want the players in to sort of bed into the team, knowing that you've got three of the top six. Do you know what I mean? Like, or the big six. Like, I just don't get it. And we discussed this on Monday night, yeah. And at the end of the day, these players are going to come in and they've also got to learn how to play the Moyes style of play. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I just don't get it. I looked at odds earlier on. Anyone who's a betting man, 12-1, David Moyes to get sacked. Be the first one to get sacked. Because I think he will be gone by October. I really do. I think he's just got no fucking idea, really. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, these players should already be here, yeah? And we're fucking about, as we always do. And I would have thought they would have learned this time, especially knowing Deck's gone. Right, you take Declan Rice out, you should know that you've got two midfielders to identify. And let's be honest, I don't see anyone coming at the minute. I really don't. It took a fucking week, right? A week today was Carlos Borges, that's how you pronounce it.
Yes.
It was a week. Fucking week it took.
Well,
Do you know what I'm saying?
I will add something more funny for you. After the Luton game, I think we have our first Europa League game, so that'll be between Luton and City.
Yeah.
And then after City and before Liverpool, I'd anticipate that we've got a second group stage Europa League game.
And one of them
Just to
games,
add.
and I think if I've got this right, one of them games is behind closed doors, in it, or there's no fans going there, or
Well,
both of them.
if no, so we've got one away fixture in the group stage where there'll be no fans.
Yeah.
So if either of those games are away from home, then that will be without any fans there.
I agree, mate. I'm just, I don't know. Bournemouth draw, Luton win is all we'll get from the first six. Not good enough, though, Trini. It's just not. Like, do you know what I'm saying? And this is the thing.
Right, so, how
Right?
many points do you think we'll get in the first six Premier League games?
I think Bournemouth's a tougher game than people think. I really do. I'll go for it game by game. Right? I think Bournemouth's a tougher game than people think. I think they're going to have a new manager in there, yeah, who is going to have them well organised and well sorted out. Don't forget they've had a whole pre-season, new manager bounce. Should we win? Yes. Will we win? I don't think we do. Yeah, I think we draw that game. All right. Chelsea at home. It's a tricky one with West Ham because West Ham seem to turn up against a big team, especially at home. Yeah, so it wouldn't surprise me if we got a draw against Chelsea. Can I see us beating Chelsea? No, not right now. Right, with the midfield that we've got right now, yeah, we have not got no midfield. Yeah, and we've got no engine players in there. So people can run around and fucking get stuck in and all that. You can say Soucek, you can say Downs, but we need a bit more quality in there than that. Yeah. So best I can see out of that is a draw. Yeah, and that's me being kind. Uh, Brighton's a no-go, right? Because we just don't win against Brighton. People think we're just going to turn up at Brighton on a half-past 5 kickoff on a Saturday afternoon and just roll into Brighton and win, which I just do not see at all. So yeah, again, that's another draw for me. Yeah, I just don't see us winning, beating that team. After that, Luton away. Yeah, I would say yeah, we can beat that team, but it's their first game in the Premier League. It's on TV. It's their first game at home, I mean, in the Premier League. So they are going to be well and truly up for that. Well and truly. And if we're off it, we could have a Forest revisited straight away. And then after that, Man City, we ain't beating Man City, and Liverpool away, we never win. We never get anything at these teams. So if we get 3 points, that's me being fucking kind at the minute. I
don't know.
You got to be honest, though, Clive.
Yeah, but I still think we'll beat Bournemouth. It doesn't matter if it's pretty or not. I think we'll beat Bournemouth. Chelsea, I could see us getting a draw. It's the first home fixture of the season for us.
Yeah, but are you saying that? Are you saying that right now?
Yeah,
I am. What? Even with our midfield as it is right now?
Yes. Well, yeah, because we've only lost one player, Declan Rice.
That's fucking one big player, though, mate, isn't it? Let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he's shit or anything. let's just get that straight up. But like, I think we don't just play out of one position, and I think I would like to think, anyways, that during this preseason and during this sort of time away, we have perhaps changed a little bit of. Maybe it's the formation, or maybe what the players are going to be doing in that defensive midfielder role. You know, if Soucek can return to his form of that first season, for instance, and start scoring goals and stuff like that. Last season, we failed to score goals. And yes, do I think we'll concede goals? Yeah, we seem to concede a lot. And we had the seasons, even when we finished in the top 8 2 years running, we conceded a lot, but we just scored a shit ton. And last season, we just didn't score at all. I think if we can actually find our goal scoring boots again, and this isn't just the strikers, I'm talking every single player, then I genuinely believe we'll be able to sort of outscore some teams a little bit and or get enough to just get a draw. And London derby is always different. So I don't necessarily think having Declan Rice or not having Declan Rice really matters in the Chelsea game, at least. I genuinely think that's going to be a draw.
I don't know, Clive. I don't know, mate. I've got to be honest here, man. Like, you look at that midfield right now, yeah, I've got no faith. None. We get done all the time, yeah? I understand what people are saying about 3-5-2. Like, Redders is in the chat. Big up to Redders. He promoted us on Lucas Paqueta's Twitch stream. So, yeah, big up to him. But I've got no faith in that midfield right now, mate. None. None at all. Like, Soucek, you back him, but is he the man right now? What I see the other day, not for me. Downs, everyone's got their opinions on Downs, right? But for me, Downs is a sort of a backup. He's not a first teamer right now. And then after that, we have no one. We have no one. We're going to be chucking players in
Well,
there.
yeah, which is why we need a third DM as such, because then really Downs would probably be the bench player. But if anyone ever thought we were going to buy two DMs and just get rid of Soucek, then you're out of your mind, because that was never the plan. Once we
I've got a
lost Price,
feeling.
it was just
I've got a feeling Soucek's going to be captain, mate. If you want me to be
yeah,
honest,
I think
right?
so too, and I'm
And
very excited.
it makes me fucking sick, mate. Honestly, I'm not even going to lie.
It gives me a huge hard on, and the moment I see West Ham United announce Thomas Soucek as captain of West Ham United, oh god, my screen is going to be messy. Woo! I'm excited.
I don't know, Clive.
No, God, please, no, no, no.
I will fucking cry, mate, if he ends up fucking captain, mate. If he ends up captain, I'll be like, oh, we are fucked. If he ends up captain, we're fucked. Simple as that. Because he can't lead a ship to the fucking ocean, mate.
I don't know. I think we saw something. I don't know if you saw the packages just before the final and whatnot, but seeing what Soucek was like during his time out there, like when he was captain over in Prague, and obviously he's captain of the national team and everything, it seemed very different to sometimes what we do see in terms of Soucek on the pitch here. But I genuinely think if he can recapture a bit of form, and I mean goal scoring form, that confidence should be enough. And I genuinely think he would be the right type of person to be a leader outside of the current leadership group. And there's nothing to say that.
Fucking hell, you're doing so well, mate. Go carry on.
But yeah, I genuinely think he is not a bad choice at all for the captaincy. And time will tell when we see it. I mean, we all criticised Rice during his captaincy throughout periods of this season. So, it's always a hard act to follow after a match.
You can't have him as captain, though, mate, because the way I look at it is, this is me personally. Declan Rice was head and shoulders above everyone else in the team, so he could lead
you're
by
not
example.
Made captain. Yeah, but you're not made captain because you're the best player. You're made captain because you literally have. Yeah, but how is
Thomas Soucek going to galvanise out West Ham's team?
Like I said, look at those video packages from the Prague time, man. I think he'd surprise you, and you'd be like, do you know what? I'd follow Thomas Soucek like that.
Fucking not a chance, mate. Fever question: would you rather have Soucek as club captain or drop 40 million on James Ward-Prowse? Neither, Lucas.
No, if we dropped 40 mil on JWP and he comes, JWP is going to be captain over Soucek. I'm telling you now.
Mate, this is why I have this argument with people, I have this argument all the fucking time. You're going to drop 40 million pounds on 28, 29-year-olds when you can go out and buy 3 talented youngsters, right, who's 21, 22, and bring them in and let them develop over a period of time. Do you know what I mean? It's just, mate, I just don't get the philosophy of some people, but that is just me. Let's have a look. If Soucek could come back the first season for sure, he's got a point. If he had a good, but he hasn't been like that since the first season, has he, Clive? Let's be honest.
I mean, all right. Last season wasn't great, and the season before that, he wasn't. Well, it wasn't that bad. It could be worse. Look, we all love to blame Soucek, but everyone last season had stinkers. I mean, Aguerd had a couple of stinkers. Bonner had a stinker. Johnson's had multiple stinkers. Who else has had stinkers? Freaking
everyone.
Kara, everyone had stinkers. I think let's forget what happened last season and look towards what next season could potentially bring, hopefully. But I think, I don't see why there's such a hatred for Soucek, so to speak.
But that one, give the captain armband to Fornells.
He doesn't play. He doesn't play.
That's the only problem. Do you know what I mean? I would like to see. I would like to see Fornells as the player that I've always said for fucking ages, and I've had many rounds with other people on Spaces and YouTube and everything, as an industrial midfielder. That is what he is. He's not a left winger. He's a good number 10, but you got Paqueta for that, or if you want to push him into an 8, you can. Do you know what I'm saying? I'd like him in a 3-man midfield. 4-0. I really would. I think he's decent when he's in there. He gets stuck in. He gets the ball. And what I like about him is the passing. If he could get his passing sorted out, and he hasn't got to rely on the wing, I think as a third midfielder, he'd be pretty decent. But is what it is. I'm convinced Clive is trolling about Soucek. He brings out every stream. Clive, would you like to confirm that?
I would have to deny that on the following thing. I'll tell you what my love for him was. That his first season, he was. I thought he was incredible. And I'm not saying that in a sarky way. I've owned up to every time that Soucek has been average or not been good enough and whatnot. It's not like I just look one way. However, my reason for promoting Soucek as much as I do, so to speak, is that I think the fan base are unfairly harsh on him when
but are they right to be harsh on him though with some of the performances that he has done, though, mate?
Some, but it's very much he sometimes could have a good performance and no one cares about it. And I'm like, well, hold on a minute. Like, if you're going to judge him on his worst, judge him when he improves too. Like, I just think it works both ways at times. And I'm not saying this is everyone, but there are a few people that don't necessarily do that. And I think there's just a bit of a stigma of, oh, well, I hate Thomas Soucek. Like, I saw one of the comments, and not to call out a comment on it, and I don't disagree with this comment. They said Soucek is average. Yeah, in to an extent, he is average. But I could argue half of our team is average. I mean, if Aaron Cresswell was that good of a player, he'd have more than 3 England appearances. So he's average. Ben Johnson, average. Who else am I going to name? Kurt Zouma. Well, he's only had 11 appearances for France. Average. Soufal, average. Ogbonna, average. Kehrer, average. If Kehrer was so good, he'd still be at PSG. Emerson, average. Fornals, average. Paqueta, well, he hasn't gone to a big club yet. Average then. So I could literally list off everyone and go, they're all average.
But he does put in average performances, though, Clive.
But half the team did last season.
Right, yeah. Listen, I will let you have your moment, right? And then I will counter-attack over the top, lads. You know what I mean? With like with the fixed bayonet. Right. I understand what you're saying about Soucek, but for me, he's not the midfielder West Ham need for the style of play West Ham want to play. It's as simple as that, right? Some
for last season, yes.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't have we need a technical midfielder in there. Yeah, someone who can pick the ball up, pass the ball about, get stuck in, etc. He's not the man. Yeah, he runs the hard yards, but that's all he does. He's run the hard yards. Do you know what I'm saying?
But do you not think last season he had to compromise his performances a bit for Declan to go up further? Because that's how I felt with Soucek a little bit.
In some games, yeah, I remember some games. I can't remember one of the games, but Soucek had a really, really good performance. Like, really, really good. Like. And I was like, yeah, he played all right. But Mitchell, and I'm shouting out Mitch here, yeah, called this for a long time with Soucek. And I remember being like you, right, when he used to call out Soucek. And I used to go, Mitch, you're having one of your moments, sort of thing, yeah? You're talking nuts of shit, right? And all Mitch used to say to me is, James, watch him off the ball. Yeah, he runs about, but he doesn't really do anything. And when he does get the ball, he gets people on him straight away. Yeah, and I started watching Soucek over a long period of time, not just 1 or 2 games, about 10, 12 games, right, consistently. And I noticed what Mitch was saying. Like, when he gets the ball, people couldn't get near Declan Rice because Declan Rice would glide past them or find passes out to players. When the ball goes into Thomas Soucek, they are all over Soucek because they know his control is not good, and that is it. Like, do you know what I'm saying? And that's the problem.
So I only need one counter argument for you right now, which is, did you know that since the year 2020, there have only been 2 Hammer of the Year winners? 3 of those years have gone to Declan Rice, and the only other one has gone to average Thomas Soucek.
And was that the first season? Or was that the second season?
2021, so that would have been
so second season.
Second, yes.
His second season, because the first, because 2020 he arrived.
Yeah, because he was on loan 1920 season, and then 2020-21 he scored 10 goals. But he's still got 5 goals in his second season.
Right.
It's just
I can understand what you're saying there, but that was the season he scored 10 goals. And he was effective. in both boxes. When the goals do not go in for Thomas Soucek, then he's pretty bang average, isn't he? Let's be honest.
But that's why I say last season, do you not think he had to compromise his performance a little bit by staying back and allowing Rice to go forward? Because the one game where Soucek did go forward, he got bagged a couple, didn't he? He bagged one against Palace, but he was the reason for two of those goals.
Thing is, like, he's just not consistent enough for me. For me personally, I see that 2021 season where he did win the Hammer of the Year, and he was very, very good. Like, and I'll never forget, YouTuber who was doing the YouTube West Ham game, who's decided to quit now, said to me, "You take the goals away from Thomas Soucek, what else does he bring to the team?" Yeah, and we've really seen it over the last sort of 18 months. If you take the goals away, he don't really bring a lot. Do you know what I'm saying? So. Yeah, it's a bit thingy. Declan Rice, did they compare Soucek to a point? Well, whatever Lucas is saying there, I would rather keep Soucek than spend 40 million on McTominay. That's a good question. I would probably agree on that. I'm saying all that, but I'd rather agree with that, mate. If I see McTominay in a West Ham shirt, mate, I'll be fuming. Absolutely fuming with everything.
If Soucek was benched for McTominay, I'd be pissed. I wouldn't turn up to the game. What's the point? No Soucek, no point.
So let me sort of put this to you before we sort of come towards the end, right? What is your ideal three then for you then? Because obviously we haven't signed no one in midfield, right? Because obviously we've seen links for Gallagher, fucking
McTominay.
That's gone. Do you know what I mean? So who is the three? If it is a three.
I would like to see Alvarez come in. Depending on what signings we make, Alvarez is the best because for me, he is versatile to go into centre-back as well. But if we were to bring in, say, Alvarez, JWP, I could see JWP being moved into a defensive midfielder from centre midfield because if we're keeping the same formation to last season, where's Ward-Prowse going to go? Because how I'd see it is you'd have Paqueta in the attacking role, and then regardless, Ward-Prowse and Soucek would be the defensive midfielders.
He can't be a DM, man.
He can learn it. I mean, John Stones went from right back to a DM last season.
So what difference is that to a Premier League proven player to a international player? Dead.
Look, I guess the point I'm making is I think if we're going to buy a player like JWP, which clearly
I've got you on that one, Clive. You know,
no, you do to an extent, but like I guess my point is like I think JWP is a good player, but I think obviously with his age, I don't necessarily see him being a centre midfielder in 5 years' time. I guess is what I'm trying to say. I think this is where he begins to learn that deeper lying defensive midfield role. And a lot of players do tend to in their late 20s, early 30s, to be honest. So, I mean, if you're going to buy a player like that, that's why. Because ultimately, we're not going to get Paulinho. If we were to get...
Your heroes here, Clive. Your heroes.
Yes! If we were to get Paulinho, for instance, then, like, if we're talking really ideal three, right? Paulinho at the back with Soucek, and then you'd have Paqueta in front of that. That would be the ideal three there. Because all the money would be going towards Paulinho, right?
Really, yeah. But I just don't see it.
And that's the thing. Like, unless we ended up selling Downs and going, okay, we're going to have Soucek as our, +1 in the sense of being on the bench all the time, which I don't see happening. Then, I don't see how it'd work. And we also have to bear in mind, we're in 2023 right now, yeah? So the next major tournament is this time next year, next summer.
Yeah, but don't forget, you've got African Cup of Nations in January.
We do, which is exactly why I think Alvarez is such a great option, because we would lose Aguerd for a month and a half. And that's why, for me, I think Alvarez is so useful, because you'd be able to keep having more players on that basis because of his versatility, and it would perhaps stop us from buying or loaning a player that we don't necessarily need and just saving a little bit of money for the following season. But I don't see players like Soucek or say Paqueta was told, oh, you're going to be a bench player next season. No one would want to be
Yeah.
a bench player when a major tournament's coming up in 11 months' time. So,
Mm.
you know, I think in that basis, and I know it's not a World Cup coming up, but I think on that basis, you know, that a lot of these players that have international or are a part of the international foray, so to speak, but they're not going to compromise. This isn't the season for where, oh, we're going to lose our positions.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Right, as we sort of come towards the back end of this show, get your questions in for me and Clive. Question it to either me or Clive, and we will answer it. Do you know what I mean? I have got a question for you though, Clive. Right, and I'll be honest. If he is captain, how smug will you be?
This
On a scale
smug.
of 1, I know,
Oh,
mate.
this smug. Do you know what? If he is captain, I am getting Soucek on the back of my West Ham kit.
Oh my God, mate,
Soucek,
that makes me.
Soucek, and I will go on eBay or I'll go on Amazon or something and buy a captain's armband for every single stream that we do next season.
Fucking hell, mate. If he ends up captain, mate, right? Do you know what I mean? Here's a question for you.
Honestly, I genuinely will. I'll wear a captain's armband for
It's the
every stream
worst.
I do next season.
Trust me, that will be like a fucking living nightmare. Trust me, mate. I will have to sit there, not only having to watch that twat run around in a fucking claret and blue shirt, but then I'd have another twat in the fucking evening with a fucking claret and blue shirt with a fucking captaincy thing on his fucking shoulder, mate. Honestly,
I cannot wait.
Oh, mate, don't it kill me stone dead. Would you bring back Jesse Lingard? Or would you would you bring back?
No,
Yeah.
I think his what was it? His interview with Sky Sports a few weeks ago, he made it very clear that he's got a few offers, and then he went out of his way to mention the Saudi offer and a couple of other offers. And I genuinely
He's
believe
money hungry, that kid.
Yeah, he's done for. He's going MLS.
Yeah.
He's going Saudi Pro League. He's going one or the other. I'm not interested.
Yeah, I agree. Clive, do you see us keeping all 4 strikers? And if so, will Antonio start every game?
Antonio won't start every game, and no, I don't see us keeping all 4 strikers. I think Antonio will be going to the Saudi League before the end of this transfer window.
Give me Moyes' starting 11 against Bournemouth. Good question from Alison there. Big up Alison Streak. You know what I mean? Comment of the night. Would you agree Fabianski in goal?
Yes.
Left back, Emerson?
Yes.
Right back, Kafal?
Yes.
Zuma and Aguerd?
Yeah.
If we just say 4-3-3.
Okay,
Soucek?
yeah. Yep, Soucek, yep.
Downs?
If we said, are we doing this on the current squad right now? Then yes.
It's gonna have to be, innit? Because we haven't got no one else.
We haven't got. Based on the fact we haven't signed anyone yet. Yes, Downs. Yeah.
And then Paqueta, yeah.
Yeah, and Paqueta.
And then you got a 3-man attack. So you
Yep.
go with Bowen.
Bowen, yeah.
Would you say Ben Rama?
Ben Rama, yeah.
And then Skamaka.
Skamaka, correct. I think Skamaka starts.
Yeah, I think you're not far off there, if I'm being honest. Let's have a look. Clive. Fuck, marry or avoid. Thomas Soucek. I should have read the last bit, but Snazzy has another great comment. Do you know what I mean? Question. What about Kera for defensive central mid? I think he's all right there. He'd be all right, but I don't think he's the solution.
I think he'd be too clumsy just on the basis of he's only just stopped being a little bit clumsy when it goes back in the box and it goes past him. I think if he was a CDM, for instance, he'd lose the ball, it'd get to the edge of the box and he would hunt it down and probably foul them. And yeah, it's a bit, I don't know. I think he's better suited as a defender itself.
Guys, thoughts on Pac-Man as captain? I did say it, but then Alfie laughed at me. But I don't know. Maybe if he had another year here, and his English was proper, then maybe. But not right now. I don't think. Would you start Soucek up front, lads?
No, he hasn't got the pace. Not for an attacking staff, so no.
Philip Billings is a great box-to-box midfielder. Would you have him?
I'm not against having him, to be honest. I think I had this chat with Lucas actually. I think he's good. He's obviously in the he's only just started being in the Danish team, but he has now got in there, and the Denmark squad isn't a bad squad either, but he is good. He's not bad at all, and he's the sort of player that you could get in and go, you probably won't be playing consistently, because he's only played 2 seasons in the Premier League for Bournemouth and 2 for Huddersfield.
Yeah. Good question here from Ultra 505. Do you think Sullivan being spotted coming out of Loughton police station recently has anything to do with why no transfers seem to be happening? Not a bad shout. There has been rumours about him, and if those rumours are true, I want him out of the club as fast as possible. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's a tough one to say without knowing, and it's been kept very quiet, isn't it? So, yeah. Until we know more, can't really say much.
But I will say one thing: like, whatever happens. If that is the case, then he needs to be thrown out. Edge first.
Oh yeah, 1000%.
With his Russian hat on, I will say that.
Yeah.
Lucas, all the way from the US of A. Question for Fever: Would you rather have Vlasic start on the left wing, or James Ward-Prowse for 35 million?
I'm beginning to think how Lucas feels about JWP is how I feel about Thomas Soucek.
Yeah, mate. I'll tell you what, mate. Lucas's love affair with JWP is something.
I love JWP as well, though, to be fair. So I'm all here for it. 25
million, it's a good deal. Anything higher than that, it's not worth it for me. It's 35 million. But no, not for me. Just I can't do it. Let's have a look. If we're transfers, Billing, Bournemouth player of the season, contract ends in 2024. Do you know what? Someone said this to me before about him, yeah, and I was like, I don't know whether he's the sort of, he would be a good player for West Ham, but if you could get him on a decent fee, he don't really seem to do bad, does he? When he plays for Bournemouth.
But this is what I mean. Like he's won numerous individual awards. So he was like PFA Team of the Year in the Championship Team of the Season. He was Huddersfield's Young Player of the Year 3 years running. He got Goal of the Season, Player of the Season there. He won a lot of Huddersfield, but he's done all right in Bournemouth, and he did score 7 goals last season in the Premier League alone. So I think whilst we've still got European football, you could easily go, hey, look, we can play him sort of as a sort of, you're not going to start, but we'll utilize you quite a bit. He'd be a good squad player in the first year, and then you'd like to think in the second year he'd be more of a starting 11 player.
Yeah, I hear, mate. I hear. Question for the lads: If you had your last £50 to put on one of the E20 Zone TV boys to score a penalty in a cup final, who would you who you putting your money on? Clive? Who would you say? Well, it definitely isn't Lucas. I'm going to say that. You know what I mean?
I've heard about this too. So yeah, not Lucas. I don't know what Mitch is like at playing footy, and I know that
I think Mitch is all right.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, Alf prefers being on the sidelines, and him being the age he is, and him being a manager of such makes me think he can't be that good. Tom, maybe.
Tom's not a bad shout, Like Tom's a smooth little operator, mate. Trust me. I think he's. Do you know what I mean? He's got that sort of low center of gravity and sort of thing. He would do the damage. Like when I used to play back in the day, I didn't mind used to blasting it like Julian Dix, but I wouldn't put your money on me, mate, because you end up losing 50 quid, but so I'm gonna say, if my life was on the line, I think Mitchell would do it. I think Mitch would do it. He's a sort. Yeah, I would trust Mitch. Like he's the man. He's the man. For it, I will say that. But if you want to rely on me, don't worry. I won't let you down. That's what I'm going to say on that.
I'm going to go with Tom on mine. I reckon Mitch would be one of those that would be like, all right, I'll do it for you, but if I score, I want a cut of the 50 quid.
That's it, yeah. Fucking crafty bastard, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? A bid's going in for Patson Daka, apparently, fellas. Faults.
Hmm.
We was linked with him before.
I'm trying to see if we have put a bid in or not. I know, what is it? Roma are alleged to want him as well if they can't get Scamacca. So, I mean, it is quite we could end up being in a situation a bit like before the transfer window opened, where it was rumored that Scamacca would go to Roma. Roma would give up one of their players to someone else, and then Tammy Abraham would come to us. So I feel like we're getting one of them situations coming in. So I don't know. I can't really go fully out against Daka. I mean, he's been at Leicester for a little bit, but he didn't really score much. But I don't think Leicester really knew who they wanted to have up top, did they? So
I'll be honest with you, we was linked with him for ages. I remember that before Leicester actually did get him. Would I be opposed it? I don't know. I don't know really. That's a tricky one, but we do need bodies. I will say that. Right, question: do you think we will sign a striker? We've been linked with many players recently, but it doesn't seem to be a lot of striker links. Moyes might just convert Borges or Bowen into a striker. I do not want to see Bowen converted into a striker. I will say that. Maxwell Cornet, on the other hand, might be.
I think if Antonio goes, you're most likely going to see, if we only have one striker up top, it'll be Scamacca. And if there's two strikers, then it'll be Ings with Mbamba. And or if we're trying to finish off the last 10, 15 minutes of the game, you'll probably see Cornet come on.
Yeah, I hear you, mate. I hear you. Right, we're going to wrap that up there, everybody. Thank you, everyone who's been watching. Any final words, Clive, that you want to say before we go?
Not really. I just want to see a bid accepted at some point. That would be nice. Or I'd like to see, was it West Ham's announcement, and then you see the shirt, the back, the number. I'd like to see some sort of video, maybe a video as good as Burnley's at this point, because I can tell you one thing, that Burnley, they love a good little video for their signings. But Jesus Christ, the media team at West Ham they've had long enough to think of things depending on who we sign. So I'm expecting a cracker of a video, whoever we sign.
Yeah, I will say that. One thing I am going to say is that I'm a little bit nervous. Now I'm very, very shaky.
Yeah.
As old Tom Skinner would say, yeah. Obviously, at the weekend, we've got Rennes. I think it's 5:30 kickoff. Yeah, Saturday night.
Like that.
Now, for me, if I don't see no action by Wednesday of next week, right, none, then serious fucking words need to be said of what the fuck is going on, right? Because there is no excuses really why we can't get players at this club. Like, there is none. But they've got the money now. The problem is, someone said to me the other day, what West Ham have done wrong is they've got rid of Deck. Everyone knows they've got money, and all the prices going through the roof because they know they've got dough, and they're putting extra silly money on it. Do you know what I'm saying? So we've got to keep the faith and see what happens. Obviously, if anything happens, we will bring it back to you. Before I go, please do smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and if you become a member, I am going to start doing my betting stuff on my betting weekly show that I was doing before. So if you want to become a member, £3, get betting tips every week from moi. And my betting tips are pretty good, I must admit. I done it last year, Clive, and I found an 18-1 shot in 4 games, and there was a few happy people in the chat, I will say that. So yeah, like the channel, subscribe to it, and all that malarkey. Anyway, that's enough from me and Clivus. We are out of here. If I can find the outro, which I can't find it anywhere, but I can. I've got it. See you later on. Peace.